Welcome to Real Talk with Donna Valdez, where we dive deep into the stories of resilience, triumph, and hope from some of the most inspiring entrepreneurs, women in business, and leaders from all walks of life. Hey, everybody, Donna Valdez. And this week on Real Talk with Donna Valdez, that's me. I am bringing you a very special guest. As you know, every single week we try to bring you, or I try, I don't know why I talk in third person. That sounds so stupid. Okay. I try to bring you people that you'll fall in love with, people who have a story to tell, usually a story of resilience, comeback, overcoming something, pushing through a challenge, because I just really wanted to show building a business online, offline isn't always rainbows, unicorns, things like that. So that's why we call this Real Talk. And this next guest you are going to fall in love with, I hope. I have come to know her probably in the last couple of months more and more. And when you hear her story, it's like, oh crap, and I know once she shares her experience, strength, and hope, you'll be like, she's going to be a positive influence for you, just like she is for me. That's my goal. So I cannot wait for you guys to meet Michele Andrews. Say hi to everybody.
Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Coming to you live from Cali, where it is hot today.
Oh, please. I'm in Tampa. We have two, like right now we're recording this in August, right? So I was telling her, I said it probably won't get published until we get on the schedule. So, but there's like two seasons right now in Florida, hot and hell. And I'm not sure where we are. It's one of those two.
Well, and it's really funny because normally it's August. September's usually our worst month. So we're getting September weather in August. And I was very lucky. I've been on the East Coast for the last almost 2 weeks. And I come back and it's actually only 100 degrees today. So I'm super, super excited because it was 117 when I left. And
Oh,
that's usually do the 117, 120 in September. I don't know why, but that's typically our hot month. But
oh,
yeah, it's hot. But we don't
okay.
have humidity like you. Well, kind of. When we get up that high, we do, but not like Florida. I could never. Love you, but I'll only come visit.
Yeah, it's thick. It is definitely thick. I've got so many friends that are like on the coastline, especially, where you are. I get envious. You guys actually can have outdoor furniture. Like
Yes.
here, it's so humid. It like gets moldy. It's always wet. Like in the
Oh,
morning, it's all wet and it's like, oh,
yeah,
so
that's gross.
I get jealous of you. Okay, so let's talk about business. So
Okay.
one of the things I often will ask my guest is, you know how we all teach how to do a 30-second elevator pitch on your products or services, what we don't teach and what we don't do. And I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
What's your 30-second pitch on you?
Ooh. Okay. Well, I am first and foremost an East Coast Italian. I have no filter. I often get in trouble for that, but at this point in my life, I don't give a shit. I was raised in a very traditional Catholic Italian household. My father was a police officer. My mother was a stay-at-home mom, but she worked in the cafeteria of my elementary school growing up. I did not have parents my parents were very safe. So I was told to pick safe things. So when I got introduced to, and we can talk about this later, my career of choice, it was not a safe choice. I did not get any help financially. So I had to go do it myself and I got it done. And that's kind of how I do things. When I'm told no, I'm like, I'm solution oriented. Next.
That's good. I love that. That was really good. That
Hey,
usually
thanks.
throws people. They're like, ooh, I've never really had to think about me in 30 seconds. So I love that. Okay. So when it comes to businesses, you're unique. You're a bit of a unicorn because you have online digital marketing businesses and brick and mortar offline. So I want to talk about both. I want to talk about how you well, first of all, let's talk about your brick and mortar, your offline
Okay.
business. Okay. What started that passion and how I want to know what started the passion for you to do that? How difficult was it? And do you think it's safer when you compare it to the online, or do you think it's a little bit different? I want to hear the differences too.
Yeah, okay, so that's a great question. So a little bit about me. I've started off dance was when I referred to the something that I wanted to get into. I wanted to be a professional dancer. So when that career was over, I knew when I was younger that I wanted to become a lawyer. So I took the LSATs and got into law school. And about 1.5 semesters in, actually quarters, because I don't even think I made the first semester, I realized what I loved doing was helping people. So I did a 360 or a 180, whatever it is, and I became a therapist.
Wow.
Okay.
That must have been
So
a shock for your family. Like, yay, my daughter's in law school. Oh, now she's a therapist.
yeah, to be honest with you, I don't ever remember asking them what they thought, and they never really gave me their criticism or their support. They were just like, okay, she's doing what at that point, I think they realized I'm going to do whatever I want to do, and they didn't really have much influence over that. What made me, so I had private practice, so I've done that side, but where the shift and the pivot happened was when I got pregnant with our first and realized, how could I be a good therapist if I'm not staying home and raising my children in those formative years, that I put that aside and I raised our children. Where the passion came in is, I wasn't dancing anymore. I had gotten introduced to the other side of physical fitness just out of how it happening. I'm not dancing. What else am I going to do? I was training at the Billy Blank's World Training Center when my husband Rael had gotten a job in New York. So now we have gone from California back to New York. So I'm kind of in my element. And we started a gym basically because I missed my Tae Bo and nobody had a workout that I was used to. And Mr. Blanks was like, well, I'm going to give you my blessing. I'll help you open up a Tae Bo fitness center. That is how we ended up getting into business for ourselves. So it really wasn't like I walked into it going, I'm going to open up a gym. I will tell you, having no experience, we ended up owning 4 of our own facilities over time. And with each opening, got a little bit better. And I just kind of failed to persevere forward, would make a mistake and be like, okay, that's not working. So, and when I found something that worked, I stuck with it. And then I started surrounding myself with business-minded people that were like, let me show you this. We were very fortunate when Rael and I got together and opened up our first gym. If you get to know our personalities, we are a little bit different and people love that and got very attracted to that. Our gym did ridiculous. Like we did really, really well right off the bat. Did make a lot of mistakes, but because we had so much momentum behind it and people loved the workout, we did know, which was really interesting. We did no advertising. And this is the one thing that I want to kind of put out there. The people that came, bought into us, enjoyed what they were getting and yapped. And that's really how the business happened. Now, you ask me, how did we take that? And, when we got introduced to network marketing, because it all bleeds in. So, we have our gym, but as you know, if you've ever owned any sort of physical fitness business, it is secular. And especially being on the East Coast, July and August were our dead months because those were the only 2 nice months. People were out, they weren't coming to the gym. January and February with the New Year's resolutions were our huge months. What I didn't understand right away was that, so that when that first summer came, we were hurting. We were hurting. And, even though the gym was doing very well, as you know, in a business like that, the business only can do so much. There's a cap because there's only so many hours in the day. It's only the 2 of us. Even if we hired more trainers, you cannot replicate that to a growth that's going to be astronomical. So there was that. When we got introduced to network marketing, that's a whole nother story. And you can ask me questions about that. But even in network marketing, we were old school. We've been 18 years in the business. We were belly to belly. We built those first, 15 years? Yeah, 2020. So first 14 years, we built belly to belly. We didn't transition into the online side of it and online businesses because I truly believe you should not put all your eggs in one basket. We were forced to do that. The lockdown happened. We were forced to pivot. And it wasn't like I said, oh, I'm going to go look into this. Honestly, I didn't even understand any of it. If you would have talked to me 4 years ago, let alone even so a year ago, what I know now, and we've had conversations from the digital marketing perspective, I look at myself and go, who are you? Like we didn't have a choice. We had to pivot. So, that really, if that answers your question, I didn't walk into this going, oh, I want an online business. I didn't have a choice. If I wanted to keep making money, if I wanted to keep my business growing, it was either shit or get off the pot.
Yeah. Well, you did it out of necessity. I mean,
Yes.
out of necessity, you didn't really have a choice. That's interesting. So you go in from having this brick and mortar, and then lockdown happens. Meanwhile, you're doing network marketing. Let's talk
Yes.
about the network marketing journey. So, how did you get started?
Okay. That's why I almost didn't want to go into that because that's a whole crazy story. Okay. So picture this. At this point, we had 3 gyms, maybe 2. I'm trying to remember if we'd opened the third one yet. But anyway, without getting into all the specifics, we are about to celebrate 24 years married, but at the time we were actually going through the divorce proceedings. So our relationship had gone south at that point. We were literally 2 days from a divorce. And I mean, like signing the paperwork, not like we were sitting at the table. We had separate residencies. We had a schedule with the kids. We were 2 days from a divorce. My husband was at a fishing tournament in Alabama, and this Mississippi police officer literally threw a block of fat. Those fat models is what 5 pounds looks like.
Mhm.
Threw it at Rael and said, "This is what's around your belly." And of course, Rael was like, "Excuse me?" Anyway, they get into a conversation and he introduces the opportunity of network marketing to him. Well, without having a conversation with me, obviously, because we were what we were, he went and joined the company and came to me and said, "I have a solution to solve our financial problems," because we were literally 2 days from a divorce. Our house was in foreclosure. The repo man was coming to take our 2 Yukon XLs. And for whatever reasons, I was like, okay. And what that taught us, we borrowed the money from his father-in-law because we didn't have it. Back then it was called an advisory order with this company, and we flipped it 3 times in a week. And within our first month, we made, because they had rookie bonuses, we made like 10 grand. That was insane, but it led us to believe, okay, so here's a way to make money. And I'm a very list pros and cons person. And when I looked at how great the gym was, but then I'm seeing, okay, well, we're really paying ourselves $2 an hour after we pay all our bills with the gym. And we've got this. That's how we got introduced to network marketing. So for me, network marketing has a very grateful place in my heart, because if it wasn't for that, I probably would not still be married today. And what I loved about the mentors that we had, Danny and Diane McDaniels, they didn't care. They didn't see 2 people that were like killing it, making them money potentially. They invited us. This is a great story. I don't know if Rael's ever told this. They invited him individually to their home. Then they invited me individually to their home. And when Rael was there, Danny poured into him. And when I was there, Diane poured into me. It had nothing to do with network marketing. The 2 of them sat us down separately and said, "We need to fix your 4 walls." And that to me was huge, that they cared enough, that they saw that these walls needed some heavy duty rebuilding, and we needed to get through a lot of pain and hurt. And it goes to say, you really have to concentrate on that. Like, people always say to us, "What's your secret to being so successful for 18 years? Personal development."
Mm.
Hands down, personal development. I could teach anybody how to do a business. It's systems. They're plug and play systems. You do what you're modeled. You model it to the next person. You ask I follow this guy on TikTok. I'm forgetting his name, but he literally goes around and interviews and stops them, like multi-billionaires. And he says, "What's the one advice that you would give?" I would say 90% of the time, it is the same exact thing. And it's like personal development. Keep failing, keep doing, don't stop. Get a system. Every single one of them says, find a system that works, make sure it's duplicatable, teach it to the next person, have them teach it to the next person. When you can start doing that, because this one guy he was managing 90 different businesses. And the guy was like, 90 businesses? How the heck, you're one person? He goes, "I have a system and I teach it to this person." And we just keep recreating it. Think about it. Network marketing is the same thing. There is a system. Da 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 da. Do that, teach that to the next person. It's when somebody decides, and our mentor said this, because people would always come up and say, "I got this great idea. We should do this." And he goes, "Well, when you make more money than I do, I'll take a look at it." And it's like, why would I try to recreate something when the person that taught it to me, and at the time they were making, because they showed me their back office, just shy of $500,000 a month.
Wow.
A month. And like he would say it. And one day we were on an incentive trip in Paris. And I said, Diane, I said, can I see your back office? And she goes, you don't believe me, do you? I go, well, it's not that I don't believe you. This was the truth. I just want to see what it looks like. Like I want to get motivated. She popped that open. I swear my jaw hit the friggin' ground. I was like, okay, well, there's something I'm going to aspire to be and have. That was incredible.
Yeah. That's cool. That is cool. I could see where that would be like, it would be motivating to me too. It wouldn't be
Me
like it's
too.
bragging, it'd be like, okay, I can run for it now.
Well,
That's
and
cool.
that's the thing. I think so many people, like, if you get offended, like I very rarely get offended. And even when I do, I stop for a second. I'm like, am I really offended? There'll be some things that still will trigger me. But for the most part, I don't get offended. And I have no ego. Like ego is edging God out. That's what the other business builders will say too. These businessmen, like of all different things, they will say, if you cannot get rid of your ego, you will never be. I do not ever, when I see somebody doing better than me, that fires me up because that proves to me that it's possible.
Mhm.
And that gets me going because I'm like, if you can do it, that means I can do it.
Mm.
Nobody is more special than anybody else. They just got really good at doing the do.
Mm.
So yeah.
I like that. I like that. Okay. Tell me out of your like gazillion years, 18 plus years, more than you have more experience than that in network marketing. What do you
No,
want?
18 years.
18
August,
years?
this month was 18 years.
That's incredible. So let's talk
2006.
about the 18 years. So what advice would you tell Michelle if Michelle is just starting today?
Well, I will tell you, and we've talked about this. The advice I would give myself is to not expect everybody to be me, to love people where they're at. I would have to say that took me a really long time. And that goes to anything in my life, even as so I still teach. I have been teaching at a studio that my girlfriend owns. We opened it together. I mean, it's her baby, but we were like, I taught the first class. We are the OGs. I've been with her 8 years, longest I've ever stayed at some place that wasn't mine. And I really love it because I get to walk in, I get to walk out, but I love the passion of it. I don't think I tell my students all the time, I'm going to teach till I'm dead because I love everything about it. I love teaching that to people, giving that love and sharing that love. And I say this to my students all the time. You have to love people on their journey. And I could never understand that. Like I would be like, well, why aren't you getting it? Why don't you want to do it at the speed that I'm doing it? Why are you like letting these objections get in the way? Why are you? When I had to sit back and go, well, wait a minute, just because I operate at this
Mhm.
speed doesn't mean everybody else wants to operate at that speed. I think for the longest time, Rael will give you a different answer. We had a standing joke. We used to call him Roadkill, and he was just like, he's such a strong personality that he would like barrel over. Like if we're talking about personalities, if you weren't a strong, dominant personality, you didn't stand a chance with him. And then I'd be behind picking up all the roadkill and loving up on them and doing damage control. But for me, can you see it? Can you
I can
totally see
see
it?
that. I can totally see that
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
And so what was hard about that is I was spending so much time doing that I didn't really understand like what my superpower was. And at the same time, I couldn't understand why, even with our children, we're like I can't stand like when my kids give excuses, I want to bitch slap them. I'm like, come with me with a solution. I don't want to hear the problem. We already know there's a problem. Let's come up with some solutions. Please don't play the victim. Like I have no tolerance for victim mode. Even like I've learned to be nice about it when I speak to like our team members, but if you come to me like my team will get to know me very well. Like Rael and I've almost switched roles. He's more of he's the visionary. And I'm like, I've got to sometimes sit back and go, okay, where's a nicer way that I can say this? Because like you said, just even in building a business, if you asked me how much I want to make, it's endless. I want to make as much freaking money as I can, not because I want to pad my bank account, but because all the people I can go help and the different things that I can go help with that money. But if you ask me what I want to make, $500 a month, that is never going to come out of my mouth. But believe it or not, the average person really only needs $250 to $700 a month to make a difference, maybe more because of our economy, but you know what I'm saying. I had to learn how to meet people where I never used to ask the question, how many hours a week can you give to your business? That's one of the first things we ask when we sit down. When we onboard people, when they come into our business, we don't just send them the documents. We schedule an onboarding with them and we ask them all those questions. I want to know, are you married? Do you have kids? What are you doing this for? What would this look like? What does this look like? I want to know all that. And then one of my questions is, okay, realistically, we have a new girl and she just said maybe 2 hours a week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's build you a plan that's going to work for 2 hours a week. Now the Michele inside's going, yeah, I do more but that's me, that's me. And I will say to my younger self, two very, very crucial things that just changed so much in how I deal with people, because we are in a people business. Everything that I've chosen in my life has been a people business. There were two things that I did that were just mind-blowing for me, that really just reshaped who I was as an individual. There's a book called Strength Finders 2.0. It is a Christian-based book, but I say that because you do not need to be Christian. You don't even need to read the entirety of it's kind of like, do you remember when you were pregnant? Did you do Baby Wise? Did you read that book? So there's a book when you get pregnant, it's called Baby Wise. It's a Christian rearing book. And it's
Yeah.
it's a lot of Christian principles, but you could ignore all that and just get the crux of so
Yeah.
basically what the book did was it taught you how to put a kid on the schedule. And the first thing it said was the baby's coming into your world, not the other way around, right? Because as moms, we just put everything and we're like, baby, 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 right? And then we're like, but
Right.
okay, so Strength Finders 2.0 is a book. This was something that I never understood. And when I found this book, it was like, oh, thank God. You ever work in corporate America? I have. And the boss calls you in and says, Donna, you're not very good at Excel sheets. I'm going to send you to a class so you can get better at Excel sheets. But if he took the time to know, which is a bad example because that's what you're really good at. So let's pretend it was something else. But
It's
what I'm
okay.
saying
We're
is,
going to flow with that. Okay.
yeah, okay. But let's just say instead of your boss going, well, let's find out what Donna's strengths are so that we can have Donna do more things in her strengths
Mm.
and find putting the people where they belong, right? So Strength Finders 2.0 is about I think it was a long time ago I did it. Let's just say it's 170, 200 questions. And basically at the end of those questions, it's going to spit out your top 5 strengths. When Rael, do this with your partner. Oh my gosh. So when Rael and I did it, okay, Rael would pride himself on how disciplined he was. Now, Rael has taught himself to be disciplined. But the funny thing was that wasn't even in his top 5. And that was so surprising to him. He had habits, but when it came to his true strengths, his number 1 was visionary. Okay. When I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, of course he is. But at the time, he was doing all of our team trainings. Guess what my number 1 is?
What?
Communication. And so when it breaks it down, it says you're the type of person that should be doing trainings. So it was like, oh my gosh, we were in the wrong roles. So my number 1 was communication. My number 2 was woo, which means I can walk into a room of 100 people that I don't know, and I'll walk out knowing 99.
Right.
Totally me. I am not afraid to go up and talk to a complete stranger. My number 3, which was so surprising, actually, was a ranger, which we've had this conversation. So a ranger is a person that can take a carry-on for 2 weeks and have all their outfits, because I pack with pods. I can look at a pantry and immediately go, okay, this is not working. Let's get this to all work. Okay, so I know you're laughing at that. My
That
number
almost makes you a visionary in itself, though, because you can see it put
visually,
together. Yeah,
yes.
visually. Yeah.
I am visually. Do not try to teach me something by saying it or giving me a textbook. I am
Mm.
visual as the day is long. That is the only way I operate effectively.
Mm.
But number 5 was discipline, which was funny. Like we were laughing, but it's true. I'm one of those people. I will do anything once. I don't it. So like one day I decided I wanted to do a figure competition, and literally and I hate the word diet, but when you compete, there is a specific way that you have to eat. I just literally, like we have a standing joke in our house. Rael and I will go to the store, and if he has his favorite chocolate bar and I have my favorite chocolate bar, his will be gone before we get back from the store. I just need a little piece every day. I can make that sucker last 2 weeks. So he can be disciplined because he knows how to, but it was, like
Yeah.
right now, he is dead set on, I'm doing this, you can't derail him once he makes that. But to some people, it comes a little bit easier than others. But that book was very huge because once the two of us understood our strengths and started operating in those strengths, it then made me a better person to the people around me, to my team. And then the second thing that I read and learned about was, everybody looks at it differently, but disc, colors, understanding personality traits. When I understood really what the different personalities of people were, it made it much easier to become what I call a chameleon. To be able to, like, when I'm in front of a D, dude, it's almost like testosterone overload. It's like the D comes out, it pulls it out. I can have that conversation. When I'm in front of an S, which is somebody, like the way I describe it is, 2 o'clock in the morning, your car breaks down, you pick up the phone, they're like, I'm there in a second, they're just understanding the different ways that people operate. So that way I can talk to that person in a way that they're going to understand it and receive it. And that
Mhm.
was kind of a big aha for Rael. Like, he goes, well, no wonder why they call me roadkill, because if I'm having a conversation with somebody who is all about, like, okay, say you're in health and wellness and they want to know the ingredients, right? You can't tell a direct person that you want to know all the ingredients. They're going to be like, I don't know, I put it in my mouth, I take it, it works great, shut up and do it. You can't say that to somebody who wants to know, who is all about that is important to them. You have to be able to give the information for them to receive it. And that's probably the biggest lesson I can give to anybody in this business, is understanding who's in front of you.
Know your
It's not about
prospect.
how,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Know your prospect.
Yes, know your prospect, know who you're teaching to. When I learned those two different skills and I learned to appreciate and understand other people's superpowers, I call them, that was a game changer. That was a game changer, because if we had learned that from the beginning, because we did very, very well in the beginning, and then we hit a wall and just fell hard, because momentum is great. But if you don't listen, I tell people this all the time. I said it on my live today. How do you build a house? You got to have a
Strong
strong
foundation.
foundation.
Strong
Yep.
foundation.
Yep. You build that sucker on sand, which is what we did. We just didn't understand. Listen, there are two parts to building a very successful business. We call it the passion part of it, right? People buy stories, people buy passion. You have to have that. But you also got to know your business. You got to have a strong, and my husband will tell you this too. When somebody says, well, I don't know how we get paid. It's okay in the beginning, but at some point you have to understand, because you are going to run into people that are going to want to know, hey, how's your compensation plan work? And if you can't explain it, you don't have to be like amazing at it, but you got to know at least the bare minimums. But if you're not able to answer those simple questions, you're going to disqualify a lot of people that really need the opportunity, because you couldn't properly answer the question.
Yeah. I get that. I see also, though, it's a hindrance for a lot of people. They feel like they can't get started until they become an expert on everything. And,
Yeah,
that's where the tools come in. You bring in your tools. And if, I do like what you said, is like the most successful people on the planet all have tools and systems. So, I think that's what you have to be an expert on, is what are the tools and oh my gosh, the tools and systems to make you successful. And if you can get that, I don't I don't know my comp plan. I know it pays. I don't know all the ingredients, but I know they work. Here's a tool that can give you more information. I think that's empowering.
Absolutely. But I'm going to do a but with that. When you use the tools because you don't have the knowledge, when you do what we call the three-way chat, or we used to be on the phone, but we're social media now, the three-way chat, the more you see it modeled, the more you hear and pay attention to the tools. Because this is what I want to say too. I see a lot of people just using the tools, but at some point, you got to know your tools. Like, I feel like repetition is king. I don't know our comp plan to the fullest, but as I go through it, as new things are introduced, like as we're going up the ranks, I'm starting to see, oh, that's how it works. So there is a part of ignorance on fire that I truly believe people, I tell people all the time, you don't need to know this right now. You need to know like these 3 basic things and how to point to these tools. Over time, over repetition, you're going to start understanding and learning more. I feel like if you use the tools and you use the systems, it reveals itself at the proper time. You don't
That's
need to
good.
know
I
it.
like that. I like that
You
a
don't,
lot.
yeah, you don't need to know, but you will at some point
Mhm.
get really, really good at it. And the more exposure you get to it,
What is the biggest mistake you're seeing people doing right now in network marketing?
relying on social media too much. I
I
mean,
just did a live on that today. I
it's
just did a live on that today. I said, I think social media, I did a podcast with someone yesterday. It'll be coming out. But she said, you know what? She thinks everyone got lazy.
yes, and that's what exactly what I was going to say. So social media is so important, yet, okay, think about it with losing weight. Everybody's looking for the quick fix. And really, if you just did a few things really, really well over and over again, over time, you're going to get the same result. And I just had a conversation with one of my team members who's like, I'm doing all the right things. And I'm like, well, posting is great. However, one of the reasons why I go live every single day is because you're not going to know who I am. You're not going to know. Listen, you can see a post and get excited about it, but it's just a post. It is a tool, but it's not. You still need to figure out how to bridge that gap. And just putting it up on social media is lazy as hell. But it's easy. And people like easy and simple and things that don't, so if somebody asks me, well, why I see you on social media all the time, why am I not having the success as you? And I go, but you're not showing up on social media the way that I am.
Yeah.
I'm showing up the good, the bad, and the ugly. Like we joked about this before we started. I was like, oh, I could probably, wash my hair and put on some makeup and get a nice little outfit on. And I said to myself, because here's the truth. I literally walked in the door 5 minutes before we had this because I've been gone for so long. I had to go grocery shopping. I needed to do this. I needed to go do that. And I'm literally in the clothes that I worked out in this morning. I probably smell. My hair is greasy. I have no makeup on. But you know what? I'm a hot mess express 24/7. And when I do get all dolled up, people are like, who the hell are you? So I figured, I'm just going to show up. This is who I am, take it or leave it.
I think it's great. I'll take it. I'll take it.
Thanks.
I'll take it. Okay. What is the one thing that you need that if your future self can tell you and help you with?
Well, I think because I'm 56 and I talk about this all the time on my lives, I cannot, if I can get this across to a young person, I feel like my job is done. And I understand that it's really hard to understand this when you're not on the other side of 50. There is a shift that happens when you turn 50. And it's kind of like maybe society teaches us that 100 is the magic number, right? We live to 100. So 50 is at the top of the hill. So now you're on the other end of the hill. I would have taught my younger self how to be better with preparing for retirement. We got really good at it. Some stuff happened. Our parents, mine in particular, did not, Ray else have passed, but at the time theirs didn't either. They didn't prepare and they didn't teach. And so now, things have happened and we're not financially where we would like to be because we had to take care of family members. And the actor strike happened and we dipped into savings, yada, yada, yada. But had we been more proactive earlier than later, we would definitely be in a different situation. And I feel like I joke about this all the time. If I could be in charge of teaching curriculum in school, it would not be half the crap that they're learning. Because I will tell you right now, I know some people are going to get upset by this comment, but truthfully, you need to learn how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide. You don't really, unless you're going to be an engineer, you're going into that field. You don't listen. I did advanced calculus. Ask me right now if I could do a single problem. No freaking way. But do I need it? No. But if somebody had taught me how to start investing and how to do this and do that, like all the things that by trial and error that I learned later on that I'm teaching my kids because it wasn't taught to me, I would tell the younger generation 2 things. Start caring about your health earlier and start saving the second you hit 21. When you're really truly an adult, start putting away, even if it's the littlest amount.
Yeah.
Just start being more proactive about your retirement, because the reality is, I don't even think there's going to be Social Security when I need it, even if I would qualify for it because I'm self-employed, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. The beauty of being self-employed is you're self-employed. The downside of it is, unless you are being taught to, that was like really cool. You know, we got into network marketing later on in life, but our first company, they had a whole thing on that. Like they started teaching us, you should be doing this, this, and this. I mean, we were in our, what, I was 39, I think. So yeah, like we were way later on. I would tell my younger self, get on that crap like now.
Yeah, it's so true. And I think also because when you start making a lot of money and you think it's going to continue, you're not mentally prepared for roller coasters, life, pivots, adjustments, I mean, look at what COVID did to half of our friends, so I get it. I do. And then before you know it, you're over 50 and it's staring you. I mean, it terrifies me. Here I am at 55. And I'm like, oh, in my head, I still think I'm like 25 though,
Oh, girl. Okay. So we want to get real right now. So this morning was a little rough getting up because um I will put it in my stories because I am as transparent as can be. And that little story that's going to go up after we get off this was number 7 of doing shots with the 23-year-olds yesterday. I was like, okay, let's go, let's go. Oh, it was hard getting up this morning because in my mind, I still think I can party with the 20-nothing-year-olds, and no, ma'am. And I know better, but I was just like,
That's funny.
wanted to be the cool mom.
Well, and when I woke up this morning, I was like, I must have had a hot flash, or something. Because I woke up, I was like, oh, I got to take a shower. I just got to rinse off. And my husband's like, what? And I'm like, you don't understand. And I'm like, I just went and took a shower first thing before coffee and everything else. And I was like, oh, this is like brutal. It's brutal. This was a lot of fun. Thank you so much. All
You're
right. So
welcome.
do you do private coaching and mentoring if someone wants to reach out? Because you have a wealth of information. So I mean, I will have your social media links. Let's back up. What is the easiest way for someone to connect with you?
I would say Instagram.
Instagram. Okay. So we will put her Instagram in the description so you guys can reach out and slide into her DMs. Okay. And I'm going to precursor my AI bot and her AI bot have this whole on conversation. It's hilarious. We stand back and laugh at the two of them as they're talking in each other's
Gosh.
DMs. It is funny. It is so funny.
I know. I almost turned her off the other day because I was like, do you need me? Like, what's my point? Do I just
It's hilarious. So do you do private coaching, mentoring for, what's your niche? What is it that are you looking for new clients? What is it that you want?
So I do right now. It's funny you say that because I'm kind of looking at things right now. So what I'm known for and what I do and I still do is I help women find balance in their life. I don't believe in diets. I believe that there's a beginning and an end, and it sets you up for failure, and the first 3 letters spell die. So I teach women how to get healthy. My ideal client is 40 plus. And my ideal client is not that that workoutaholic, that really healthy girl. My ideal client and the women that I find that I work with are average women. They're just trying to find a little bit more balance in their life, how to get healthy, how to make choices. I coach off of the 80-20 principle, and I'm very real. If you look at my bio and Instagram, I have a little cake and I have a little wine. And because I do believe that you should be able to we only have one life. You should be able to enjoy it. But to teach that balance, to teach people how to understand how to eat healthy. I was telling somebody the other day, I got blocked.
Uh-oh.
I get blocked a lot.
Uh-oh.
Mostly on TikTok, because I feel like on TikTok I could really be brazen, however you say the word. But I got into this tiff with another trainer who tried to tell me, because I talk about all the time, like a lot of people don't know that you have 2 brains. You have this brain and you have your gut, your second brain. And when they're not talking to each other, or there's something going on in that second brain, that's where the disease festers. That's where it starts. And by the time you see it and it comes out in the big form, you could have done a lot of things prior, because there were a lot of little hints along the way. You just didn't know what you were looking for,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I talk about this all the time. So anyway, this one trainer told me, well, you're always promoting your supplements and you can get everything you need from your food. And I said, no, you can't. And they're like, excuse me. And I said, look, I said, and this is the truth. I'm not blowing smoke off my ass. This is the God's honest truth. Even if you were raising your own cattle, even if you were growing your own fruits and vegetables, right? That's fantastic. That's a very small portion of people, right? You are on a much better, you're even doing better than I am, right? Here's what you cannot get from your food that you cannot combat. You can't control the environment. You can't control the environment. We ingest toxins every single day. We are rebuilding cells every single day, but we are also doing this. And there are certain things out there that we need to put in our body as our tools. As good as I am as a trainer in every aspect that I do, I am not the complete answer.
Yeah.
I am just a tool in your toolbox.
Yeah.
And you have to be open-minded to know that there are several tools that you need to become healthy. So when you do coach with me, I'm just giving you a forewarning. You're going to get me and all the things that I believe in and I know to be true because I've done the research. You'll also know that about me as well. I don't say things just because I want to sound important. I've looked, I've researched, I've done. There's a science geeky part to me that doesn't always come out, but I think it's super important. I tell people all the time, stop following these damn influencers that are just getting paid to say crap and endorse something, right? Do your own research and follow somebody, like when somebody says, why should I work with you? Well, let's see. I've had 30 plus years of experience and I've trained, God, at this point, over 10, I don't even know, but a long time I've been doing this. I've helped a lot of friggin' women. So I'm not blowing smoke up my ass and I'm
Yeah.
not ego driven. I've done the work. I have the certifications. I have the proof. The proof's in the pudding, So I do know what I'm talking about. But yeah, and I will go to my grave, so to speak, talking about that because we don't talk enough about. We live in a society right now where it's slap a band-aid on it. Slap a band-aid on it. I'm of the philosophy, let's get to the root of the problem. Let's figure out where it's coming from.
That's awesome. Okay, so if you are a woman over 40 looking to improve your health, your well-being, your wealth, reach out. We'll have her Instagram in there because she does do her research. She'll be able to recommend programs, systems, tools, supplements, things like that that she knows she's done all the research and you can, get to know
Dude,
her and have the confidence.
I've even created plug and play menus
Oh,
with your
that's so
numbers.
good.
You don't even have to think. All you have to do is read and prepare. Like I have taken all the guesswork out of it. People used to pay me upwards of, 300 plus for me to build you a menu. I think I sell my plug and play menus for like, I don't even, $29.
Wow,
Because
that's so good.
to me, it's this. I would rather have a price point that everybody can afford with no excuses, no objections, than the very few that could afford. I don't believe in that. I believe the more that you give, the more you're going to get in return. And
Yeah.
if I can help one person, get better, then I've done my job. Well, not one. I'd like to help hundreds and thousands of
I was
women,
gonna
but
say not one. You've already
no,
helped
you
me.
know what I'm
Okay, there you go. That's
saying.
the
You
one.
know what I'm saying.
All right. Well, everybody reach out to her, find her on Instagram. Her links will be below in the description. Thank you so much, Michelle, for coming to hang
Thank
out with me. This
you.
hour went by quick. I
Wow.
mean,
Yeah, it did.
it went by so quick. Hugs to the family. And you guys tune in next week as I bring you somebody new to get to know.